Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to welcome you to the Somerville Zoning Board of Appeals for Wednesday, February the 19th, 2025. It is 6:01 p.m. Pursuant to Chapter 2 of the Articles of 2023, this meeting of the Somerville Zoning Board of Appeals will be conducted via remote participation. A recording of these proceedings can be accessed at any time using the registration link at the top of the agenda. Joining us tonight is our staff people. We have Andrew Graminski and Madison Anthony and Steve Carey and Kit Luster. On the board tonight, we have 100%. We have Ann Brockelman, she is our vice chair. Ann Fullerton, Zach Zaremba, Cece Daglian, and Brian Cook. Mr. Cook is going to be designated the clerk for this evening's meeting. And I'd also like to point out that Cece Daglian will be the voting board member for the two cases we have this evening. So I believe without further ado, I'd like to have the clerk call. We have nothing on the general business, but we do have two public hearings, and I'd like for the clerk to open it up.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to open the public hearing for 59 Linden Street, ZP 24-000125. Fan Wang seeks a major amendment to a previously issued special permit, ZBA 2019-96, under the Somerville zoning ordinance section 4.4.1 to alter a non-conforming structure.
Thank you very much, Brian. Is Mr. Wang here or a representative of him?
I am, this is Andrew speaking, Chair Fontano. I am promoting the applicant.
Thank you. Hi, good evening, Ms. Wang.
Good evening. I hope everyone can hear me okay.
Yes, so far so good. So want to tell us a little story? We do have your papers and we have your narratives and all your stuff like that, pertinent information. And I know this crew all paid attention. What's specifically special you'd like to point out to us? What would you like to say?
Yes, sure. Before we begin, there's a bit of correction. The address is 59 Linden Avenue, because we do have a Linden Street in Somerville. It's different.
Oh, thank you so much for the record. Thank you for that. We do have that on our papers. It was just we misspoke. So it's 59 Linden Avenue, ZP 25-000001. Thank you for the correction. You may go forward.
Yeah, I do prepared a short slides to show more photos and the background. If
Great.
you don't mind, I could just present the slides.
Yes, that's fine. Andrew, can you help us with that?
This is Andrew speaking. The applicant should be able to share their screen now.
Okay, sure. Let me navigate to the slides. I hope everyone can see it properly.
Perfect.
Okay, great. So for this case, we started the renovation almost 5 years ago. Has been a while, and the intent was just to renovate a older dated house to better fit for families in Somerville. And also my partner Mark Wagner, we really love the Somerville community and try to build a great house there. The delay in applying for the zoning review and lots of chaotic things happened in the middle, especially during the pandemic, was really because we are not home builders, developers. Instead, we are just a novice try to navigate the process. There's obviously omissions. I hope everyone excuse us. And also tonight, joined with me is my architect, Alex Van Praag, and also some of the neighbors who show the support. We'll let them to speak later when the opportunity arrives. So to give everyone a bit of background, Linden, 59 Linden Avenue is in this 1 to 2 family residential zone. It was more than 100 years old. Everything was not updated for maybe 40, 50 years. As you can see, it has asbestos sidings, and then I also have photos of the back garage, also some interior views, also the back of the house, and it's really need some good work. And then for today's amendment, the staff pointed out there are 3 main things that they are concerned with. First is the floor plan, mostly about the rear unit. The attic space is larger than approved. And they also pointed out that there's some offsetting factors. The lower floors actually are smaller than approved. And then the other aspect is the landscape. The landscaped area is reduced compared to the approved plan. I would try to mention some of the challenges we faced during the construction process. There were mistakes and mismanagement by our previous general contractor. It just caused so much trouble that we have to resolve over multiple years. Very costly and a very painful process. To start, the foundation as built was 4 feet narrower and also slightly off by 1 or 2 feet, even though we had a professional land surveyor staking the exact location. And with that, and also if you recall from the approved plan, there's a slab on grade and also cantilever structure on the 2nd floor on the top. So there was a lot of things that also need to be changed in the upper floor if the foundation is a bit off. And also there was a tree damages. So we received a stop work order from the city, very shocked by all the chaos. And we had to complain to the Massachusetts Board of Building Regulation and Standards. Essentially, the general contractor's license got suspended by 1 year based on our complaint. We lost multiple mature trees. That was very unfortunate. There's another challenge is just because of the terrain. We are right below the hill of pretty steep descent. I'm going to show a couple of photos. Because of that, when we doing construction, the mason highlighted that there's a need to build more retaining walls, much stronger and thicker. That also takes away some of the green space as initially planned. And we would make a case here that the floor plan changes are less detrimental to the neighbors than the approved plan. The reason is that overall the net living area remains the same, and the building's footprint, because the foundation is it was not done right. It was smaller. Our building footprint is actually 3 feet less on the east-west dimension. So if you add that up, it's a reduction of more than 1,000 cubic feet. Just especially our rear unit is actually could potentially blocking sun for the neighbor on the north side, and if it's 3 feet shorter, it actually allows more sun exposure to the neighbors. And also for the attic living space, it's just to offset the reduction in the lower levels. And also because the shed roof of the attic is sloping down to actually just 2 or 3 feet towards the north end. there is actually much less impact if it was for the whole building. So I'm going to highlight just with some photos. You could see that this is how the attic slopes down from about around 8 feet tall on the highest point, goes down to the northern wall. And you can see up here, it's pretty much just the same as the knee wall, which is about maybe 4 or 5 feet tall. Initially, we had approved a plan to build only around the door and the one window area, and we expanded symmetrically to the other side, which is the other window opening. So the shadow impact to the neighbors is minimal. Also about the landscaping, it is still remain above the 25% threshold as a share of the total lot area based on the 2019 zoning code. Sorry, I think I might have maybe made some wrong comments here. But the landscape is still below the required like still above the required area, and all we did is try to mitigate the challenges on the east side. As I mentioned, our east neighbor on Porter Street, you can see that their house is, I guess, around 40 feet above our lot. And that is a descent just within about 10 feet area. It dropped down that much. They had a tall retaining wall. It already had some cracks. When we see that, we are also quite concerned. I know that our neighbor has plans to later reinforce this, have another project. But to ensure the safety and the soundness of the lot, we followed our mason's advice to build a much thicker retaining walls. They are running in parallel, actually 2 lines that each one of them is more than a feet thick. This is a bit different than the original plan, and also the mason recommended to level the ground instead of have a multiple loose soil-based terrace. We actually just flattened this backyard area so that they're more reinforceable. So we would strongly urge that the board would approve the amendment. It's because the amendments cause no detrimental impact on the neighbors. We do receive some support letters from the neighbors. And also it doesn't worsen the non-conformities that is already existing, especially I think on the front yard, on the left setback, and so on and so forth. Also GFA, we didn't touch that at all. And also as the city staff mentioned, the landscape revision is similar in design to the original intent. So that wraps up my short, I guess, description of where we are coming from.
Thank you.
Happy to answer any questions anyone would have.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so does usually we go to the public portion of this meeting to see if any of the folks that came tonight have what they have to say to support or not your presentation and what's happening. So, Mr. Graminsky, can we do that to see who's here and ask for their comments?
Hello, this is Andrew speaking. I see a Gabby with their hand raised. I'm going to allow them to speak.
Thank you.
Hi there, can you hear me?
Yes, would you please be so kind to give us your name and address, please?
Absolutely. My name is Gabby Zijderveld, and I'm one of the owners at 8 Porter Avenue in Somerville, specifically apartment 1. We are the neighbor uphill from Miss Wang. So when you saw the picture she presented of the retaining wall with the a big blue house on top of it. That is our property. I have lived there, and my husband and I have owned our property for 8 years, which means that we've been able to follow the unfortunate construction ordeal that Ms. Wang and her partner had to go through. And we are very, at 8 Porter Avenue, and I also speak on behalf of our upstairs neighbors, we're very supportive of Ms. Wang, and we hope that the Board of Appeal will approve this. We think they've built a beautiful property. We lived there when the older structure was still in place, and it was quite an eyesore and quite dilapidated. From our apartment, we actually have a clear view of the Linden Ave property since we're uphill from them. This also means that we were able to observe some of the unfortunate challenges they've had when their first general contractor mismanaged the work they were supposed to do. It was quite bad. We own part of the hill that is behind the Linden Ave property. And that contractor that had their license suspended actually trespassed on our property with a backhoe and ran into our trees, caused damage to our trees. One of them eventually died and had to be removed. None of this was at all any fault of Ms. Wang and her partner. So I think it was just very unfortunate that that happened. And we got in touch with Ms. Wang, and they were so responsive, so neighborly, and so collaborative. We discussed, and she then gave us insight to the issues they were having with this contractor, and that they were getting, they were basically working on getting the license removed. We were, very supportive of that because of the damage that was done on our property. But most of all, we're super appreciative of how neighborly and how well Ms. Wang communicated. We've met with them. I think the end result is a beautiful property that adds to our neighborhood. They've been great neighbors, and I just wanted to say that because I think, I'm hoping the board will approve this appeal. So let me pause there. Happy to-
Great, thank you so much. Thank you for your input. Andrew, do we have many other people?
This is Andrew speaking, Chair Fontano. I'm not seeing anyone else with their hand raised at this time. If you would like to speak, please use the raise hand feature and we will promote you. Oh, I see someone. I see an Alex. I am allowing them to speak.
Andrew, do you have a timer?
If you give me a second, I can get that up.
Yep.
I can be-
So Alex, if you could just please pause for a second. Thank you so much. All right, can you see my screen share, Fontano?
Yes, I can.
All right, Alex, go ahead.
Alex, your
Certainly,
name and address, please.
Alex Van Prague, 66 Antrim Street in Cambridge. I just wanted to avail myself to this meeting. I'm the architect who did the drawings for the project, and I too am aware of the challenges that were faced during construction. And really, I don't have a lot to add to the presentation other than I'm here and available to address questions as needed.
Great, I'm glad you stepped up. I have a quick question. So were you with these folks from the very beginning?
Yes,
Okay, so you went through the whole ordeal with the first contractor and the second.
yes.
Okay, and do you feel, well, it's probably an obvious question because of what happened to the gentleman's license and stuff. But did he turn from your plans and do things on his own?
Yeah, mistakes were made.
Yeah, okay, all right. Thank you. Who's next, Mr. Graminsky?
This is Andrew speaking, Chair Fontano. I'm not seeing anyone else with their hand raised at this time.
Okay, as a courtesy to Ms. Wang, we'll leave the public portion open in case anybody comes in And we'll go to the board to see what their comments are. So you folks read through all this. We saw what happened. Do you have some questions for the applicant or the architect who's here tonight? Or comments? Does anybody want to raise their hand and let me know? Ann Brockelman, Vice Chair, please.
Yes, I just like to make sure I'm very clear on the changes. So the foundation was poured more inward, so your property, the massing is maybe skinnier, but you recouped it at the attic level. Can you show that slide again? I'm looking at also the drawing set, and I just trying to understand how you regain that that floor area that you lost because of the footprint mistake.
Sure. I think it's if you look at the narrative part of it, in the appendix, there were screen prints of the comparison. I could try to
The
put
narrative? Okay, hold on a second.
First of all, there was I think when this chaotic contractor was working there, we were just hugely shocked by what happened. And we also did a land surveyor coming in to show the as-built concrete foundation the contractor poured. And then if you compare that with the approved plan, you will notice the difference.
So is your driveway now wider, or is that the other side?
I think
Driveway.
that we had to, it happened, I guess in iterations. First of all, they poured slightly different. The length and the width are different. And also the location, they poured also different. They poured, I think initially was closer to, for the driveway side, I do not know exactly the relationship to the driveway. But essentially we had to make corrections and did a second pour and then that's why the basement foundation wall on one side is 3 feet thick. Because it's
And,
So it's
and
thicker.
too narrow.
I see.
And the architect's here too, if you need him to weigh in.
Yes, I'm just trying to understand exactly, literally what happened. I understand conceptually, but where's the comparison before and after, or maybe where you imposed built versus designed?
Alex, do you want to speak to that?
Is it in the narrative? Is there a picture or a
Or
plan?
drawing, yeah.
The appendix 1 is the as-built foundation after the previous contractor did their work. And in the I can also bring up.
Well, I guess I'm trying to understand the relationship. I see the as-built. So you're saying the foundation wall got thicker because they had
Yes,
to pour
it is
one right next to it.
correct. I have I think I have a photo of the basement I can show you. I can
Sure.
just quickly share how it looks like. Find the foundation. Yeah, this is the photo. So you can see that this is 3 feet.
Oh,
And is that the window to the driveway side, or?
It's actually to the window wells area.
But where's it facing when you look out the window?
In the plan, I guess it would have been helpful to get design and then draw over in red where, you know, superimpose before and after. So we really see how it shifted.
Yeah, I can also have I have the original approved plan to show you. See, because my architect is traveling, so he may not have all the files with him. This should be the. Are you still seeing my screen share?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, so this is the. Sorry, yeah, this should be the foundation wall on the design plan. In the narrative, I showed, I think this is 19.5 in length in the east-west direction. And you can also see it's a 21.5 in the southeast, it's like a north-south direction. And the as-built, obviously, it's I think 2 or 3 feet shorter. So on the driveway side, it is actually less. Thank you for pointing out, Mr. Brockman.
Yeah,
And also we had to pour another layer. So this the window well wall is much thicker, it's like 3 feet thick. That further reduced our basement square footage.
Okay. So you poured, it came down south, moved in this way, moved down, plan down. The thickness, did it go north or south?
The thickness, okay, Alex can speak on this.
Alex?
This is-
Andrew, can you open up Alex's, so you can speak with us?
This is Andrew speaking. Alex, you should have the ability to speak still.
Okay, yes,
Will you
The
speak
thicker
up and
wa-
help us out with this, Alex?
I'm trying to speak. Can you hear me?
Yep,
Okay, great. The north wall is the wall away from the driveway, and that's the wall that Anne showed the photograph of that needed to be thickened. The north wall in front of the window well. It's away from the driveway.
Okay, so on the other side. So it came down further south.
Correct.
Okay, got it.
The interior space did, yes.
Yeah, okay. And then can you show how you were able to pick up that area in the attic? The top floor, I wasn't clear.
If Anne scrolls to the third floor plan, you'll see that the original design had a third floor pop-up sunroom just to the left of the stair. And it was mirrored over to the right of the stair.
I see. So where the arrow is, that's right now shown as exterior, right? And you enclosed it. to pick
Correct.
That, got it. Okay, thank you.
Sure.
May I continue with the third change, Madam Chair, the landscape?
absolutely.
Hmm.
Absolutely.
In the photo, so it looks like you're losing you're losing the patio, is that right?
Yeah, so this is the landscape plan that we proposed, and the contractor who did the retaining walls pretty much sort of took it upon themselves to do this double wall that took away more of the green space, but didn't exceed the allowable minimum. But it was a change.
Yeah, so in the drawing, it looked like 2 tiers, right, of terraced
Yes,
landscape, and now it's pretty much flat with a very thick retaining wall in the photo.
yes,
And
yes,
can you point to the location of the EV charger? Is it in that corner, the current location? It's still right there?
yes,
Okay. Got it. Thank you.
sure.
Thank you, Ann. Anybody else have some questions? No? Ann Fullerton?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ms. Wong, did you raise these issues with inspectional services as you were changing general contractors and going through your inspection series?
We changed our contractor with the ISD. And the new general contractor actually filed a permit with it. We had also paperwork terminating the previous general contractor.
Right. So, but you made a change to the third floor when you were under construction. How was there a plan filed with ISD for that change? Or was that a field directed change and ISD was not made aware of it?
It's really just due to my ignorance because there were more than 10 inspections scheduled. We met with the building inspector a few times, and then he walked us through the space, and we saw that because I actually didn't know there's a separate zoning inspector than the building inspector. I thought it's one person does everything, and then we thought that he saw it and he accepted those changes. There was not intended to be anything substantial.
So the
So actually,
building, I'm sorry, so the building inspector received new plans with the third floor changes and didn't flag it at the time as an issue, correct?
right, we didn't maybe submit it to the building portal because at that time my general contractor is holding out the portal access, so I didn't have access. But the new plan was printed and put it in the job site, and the contractor also just showed the inspector about it.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Zach Zaremba, please.
Yeah, just to piggyback off of Ann a little bit, I'm surprised that this wasn't raised with the ZBA earlier. Or that this wasn't flagged by ISD, especially because it looks like the project is pretty much done. And in fact, one of the condos, correct me if I'm wrong, might have sold already. Because I saw a for sale sign and online, I seen a listing that I had sold. Is that correct?
It's not sold. And we are just trying in the middle of selling it, but it is it was just totally my ignorance. I just didn't know. We owned this house for 5 years, and currently I'm actually almost in the 3rd trimester pregnant. So that's why just try to plan for our next stage of life. So there are a lot of changes going on in our own private life.
Right,
Can
I
I
just
ask,
think in just in the development process of this, if there was a significant change to the approved plans and there was an issue with the GC, usually this would have been brought to us much sooner than after it was done and after it was on the market. This is the issue that I'm having.
Zach, I'm right with you on that. Steve Carey, our staff person, I understand you've been working on this.
That's right. Yep. Hi, Susan.
Hi,
Yep.
so do you want to try to address, I mean, I think we knew that inspectional services came in and noticed things were wrong and they put the stop. So
Mhm.
to help Zach and the rest of us, could you run us from the beginning and how this started getting caught, that this wasn't right and how it went to the extent it is?
Sure. My understanding is that there was, inspections during the construction process, but the ISD inspectors who were doing those were inspecting for more like, you know, life and safety things, and not necessarily with regards to zoning compliance. So then back in, I think it was October of last year is when a zoning compliance inspector actually went out there who was, you know, familiar with the fact that there was a special permit for the property. And that was the first time that that it came to ISD's attention that what was built wasn't quite in line with what was approved during the special permit process. So I think it's correct that there were ISD inspectors on the property before, but again, that they weren't inspecting for things along the lines of zoning compliance. They were more inspecting for things for, you know, safety concerns, is my understanding.
And so was there a stop work order put in place at any time? I thought there was.
I believe there was, maybe the applicant can speak to when that stop work order came through.
That was more about just a poorly managed job site, and also there was like a multitude of issues that happened in September 2020 during the COVID year. Was more like a tree damages.
And and then what happened that they let you start working again?
We went through a set of inspections, including like engineering department, ISD, also I think the tree warden, as well as I couldn't recall exactly, but there might be some other inspectors involved in different departments. Was a very shocking experience. It took us more than 2 months to resolve.
Who had their hand up? Was it Ann Fullerton again? Ann, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Steve Carey, do you know what the requirement is for zoning inspectors on projects that have special zoning approvals? Like, what is the frequency of inspections for zoning inspectors?
I
for
honestly
projects?
don't know.
That
I would
seems like- yeah.
I would assume, you know, I would assume that, I mean, they certainly come out around the time for a certificate of occupancy, because generally special permit approvals are tied to that grant of certificate of occupancy. So I know they come out at that time. I don't know the sort of cadence of their visits prior to that.
Okay. For the record, I think that that's too late in the process because we end up here. So, I mean, my opinion is, had this case come before us while they were under construction, showing us that they had mishaps in the field, which happens every single day on every single project, stuff happens, that they had conditions that they are working with and asking to modify their permit at that time, it would have been, it may not have even gotten to us. It might have just been a planning director approval because it would have been so de minimis, honestly. But at this point, it's built. So by rights, Ms. Wong and her partner are in a position where we could be asking them to take down part of their third floor because they built it without approval. Luckily, they don't have any neighbors complaining about it. In fact, they have neighbor support, which is great to hear. But it's a really frustrating position to be in because, you know, we don't want to be the board that asks people to tear down their property.
Thank you, Ann.
Yeah,
Steve?
I had for this process, I also had a meeting with the interim planning director about this. It's if we knew that there is a zoning inspection, if it could happen early in the process, we'd love to do that. But it just there are just so many things going on. We dealt with so many construction related defects and issues. We were very overwhelmed, and after a few years, we didn't go, like, completely forgot the initial decision. There was a piece of paper saying that we need to reach out to the planning department for a zoning inspection, which I just totally got overwhelmed. If there's some process that making the zoning inspection part of the building inspection process, and then we would be more involved. And also, sometimes it's not just our contractors filing the paperwork with the city, getting permit, getting inspections. I don't actually deal directly, and then once we realized that it was all just too late, I wish that there's some process that could be improved as well from a homeowner point of view.
Zach, did you have anything else you want to add after talking to Steve?
Yeah, I mean, I know I hear what you're saying, Ms. Wang, but like you realized this earlier, and it's just with the new GC and the architect and with you, it just, I'm not completely convinced this wasn't brought to us at the point in time that it should have been, especially as Ann said, it's done and one of the condos is sold. So there's somebody maybe living there, will be moving there. So this would be a major disruption to that person as well. Yeah, this is a little bit of a tough one for me. The other amendments I've seen, they brought them to us in the middle of construction, and we typically have approved it if it was reasonable. So this just puts us in a tough position of approving something after the fact. I wish it had come to us earlier, and I don't know if the city can add anything to that or legal counsel, but I just want to make sure as a board that we're doing the right thing here and not setting a precedent for future cases.
Thank you, Zach. I agree. I agree with what you're saying. We are I feel in a compromised position. You know, we have to be the bad guys. And like you brought up the point about the legality of everything and, you know, what the city solicitor might have to say, or the Wangs. Anybody else have a comment? Cece, do you have a comment, or Brian?
I share all the comments that were made. I think I share in your frustration of the timing of this. I think for me, the changes that were made are not egregious. They're sort of in keeping with the spirit of what was approved. So that is influential. And perhaps if
I have a glass.
at the board's pleasure, like if you wanted to get an opinion from the city solicitor, maybe we should, or somebody from ISD, maybe we should do that first.
Thank you. This is not the first time we've been put in this position. And it's the condos and it's this and it's that all the time. I don't know. This is a tough one. You folks want to vote tonight, or do we want to hear from more, like she mentioned, the acting executive director? They spoke to him, or somebody said about the legal. Yes, Cecia Daglian.
Sorry, just just to circle back on the question of when zoning inspection is done. I just know from my own experience in construction in Somerville, they really just come out at the very end. And usually the inspectors don't look for that, because I mean, overall the plan kind of looks like what was approved, some bumps in and out and 3 stories, etc. So that is one thing to take into account, but maybe we could hear about from ISD about how the process went from their perspective.
Thank you. Does anybody have another comment or question for the architect in particular? Do you just want to sleep on this? Are you ready to vote tonight? Do you want to vote tonight, or you want to think about it? What's the pleasure? Yes, Ann Brockelman.
Madam Chair, I'm ready to vote to approve. Like Cecia said, it is a difference. It's not that they're really taking advantage or benefiting from the mistake, right? It didn't get bigger. In which case we'd have a real conundrum. I mean, the regret for me is the landscape. It's
No.
just a parking lot back there. I think the presented landscape plan is, so lush with lots of trees, and in the photo, it's
Mm.
3 bulbs, spring bulbs or something. So I mean, it still complies. So I'm just expressing disappointment. So I just hope that, the residents will put in small trees or something, and that's beyond our purview. But to me, that's really too bad that it's just a parking lot back there.
Have you, are you on the final stages of selling this property, Miss Wang?
Yes, because my partner have to go back to work 5 days a week in office. Just a bit too far for him to manage the commute.
So who's managing it?
I'm still involved, and we could plant more plants. We actually, I love gardening. I love flowers. The first thing when we were about to start the renovation is actually offering some of the small plants and the trees to my neighbors so they can relocate and preserve them. And also we took the hydrangea elsewhere. And then to preserve them through the construction, and then we planted some of them back. So when spring arrives, we definitely can plant more.
Is the back white vinyl fence your fence? In the picture here, you show your backyard with the vinyl white fence. Is that your fence?
Yes, it is our fence.
And
the
was that
photo-
surveyed for the construction of that fence?
Yeah, the fence was, we had a as-built survey. The fence is in front of our lot, so it's not like intruding into my neighbor's lot.
Okay. I don't know if staff can help us with this. I know in the past when we've had special permits or whatever, we can give some conditions of approval. Is that something we can do here where we're talking about the backyard and the landscaping and the driveway? Is that something that we could put into the approval if we approve this tonight?
Sure.
That we want some landscaping, some perennials, put in, especially with springtime coming, some small dwarf trees, some perennial plants that are going to come up every year and, really embellish the idea of the backyard with the trees and stuff. Because it looks to me from before, I remember when we had this, Ann Brockelman and I believe are the only two on the board now that worked on this case. This, you can't even visualize the same property. It's like, the only thing that is halfway decent is that they use the cobblestones in the back as opposed to hot top or some other, materials that are horrific. This is exactly what we don't want in backyards.
Sure, if the board would like to add a condition related to planting, that'd be fine. Just be sure to add it as part of the motion. In addition to, there's a couple of sort of standard suggested conditions of approval within the staff memo. So just be sure to reference those and then any conditions you're adding at the meeting in the motion.
I'm
Would
gonna need
anybody want
wording.
to see, well, excuse
Sorry,
me, Brian,
sorry,
one
Madam
second.
Chair. I'm just gonna
Did
need wording on
anybody
this.
want to see, if you look at this picture, it's on page 12 in our narrative. And it shows the backyard with the plateau, with the fence and everything. Would we want to take out more of that flooring where the little plants are now, where the table and chair are, and give it more green space? Or you think it's just futile and let it go? What's the pleasure of the board? I mean, it sounds like we're not going to ask them to take off the 3rd floor. It's going to sound like we're not taking them off the side of the wall. I mean, there's certain things that we know are in place. we're not here to say no. We're usually here to say yes, but we like to say yes under the proper, rules and regulations. So we don't want to touch the building, it sounds like to everybody. Is the backyard, you think it's okay? Just let it go as it is and let them do the plantings in the green space they have still left? Does anybody have a comment? If not, I'll just be quiet. It's the pleasure of the board.
Like to mention that we actually have quite a lot of perennials. All the things we planted are actually perennials, including hydrangea, Froscinea, bleeding heart, also like iris, roses of Sharon. So they all going to come back. Peonia in the front yard. So there was tulips. There were a variety of plants and flowers.
Cecia, you have your hand up?
Yeah, I think that's Susan, I think that's a good compromise, which is to perhaps even take away some of the other corner of the paved area, which you see on the next 2 pages down. So you could have like 2 corners of plantings, and we could require like trees of a certain caliber to be planted, like remove some of the cobbles and add more
Well,
planting.
that's what I was thinking, just a little
Yeah.
bit more, like you say, make it in the other corner so they complement
Right.
each other. And you can still have your table in the middle and enjoy it. And we all know now with trees, we can do dwarf trees, we can do flowering trees, especially in such
Yeah.
a contained area. And like Ms. Wang is saying, they do have a bunch of stuff they're gonna start bringing back that are perennials. But I think a little compromise for the applicants, I understand they had a horrific time. I understand with the pandemic, we all had a slow down, things weren't getting done, supplies weren't getting done. We hire somebody, we think they're reputable and they're not. So I would say, what your suggestion is that other little corner, make it mirror the other side and have 2 plantings there and a little table and chairs in the back anyway, still would fit. It'd still be pleasant, I think. Do you understand what we're saying, Ms. Wang? Do you like that idea?
Could we maybe plant a flower tree at the corner? Say right now we had a iris. Maybe we could plant a say cherry or a peach tree somewhere in the existing garden.
What about taking out some of those cobblestones in the other corner to mirror the one that's there already? See the one in the picture? It's got the table and chairs in front of it. It's got the land with some flowers coming up, some greens. It looks like something sprouting. What about going to the other corner of the yard, removing the same amount and make it the same size so they mirror one another, and so there's a little extra green back there. What do you think of that?
You mean like symmetrically to the southern side of the yard? We have converted this property into a condo. That corner is dedicated to the front unit, which is owned by a different owner now.
How is that? How is the backyard not just a common space?
I think
Oh.
Susan, that it's parking. If you look at back on
Oh,
page,
okay.
just 2 parking spaces. So I guess they could increase the existing planting.
Whatever.
And just move the tables closer to the building.
Sure. And also actually on the retaining wall, the photo shows just a flat, all its walls. It's actually 2 levels of flower beds.
Yeah, okay,
About 3 feet wide. So it's not just a walls on top of walls.
okay. All right. Yes, Zach. I'm sorry, Zach, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to add, I don't personally feel like we need to ask Ms. Wang to pull up the cobblestones or change the plantings. It's in the back. It's not visible from the street. And whoever's going to buy this is going to make the decision if they like it or not.
Yeah.
My focus still is just if we're following the correct legal procedure with this.
All
I
right.
agree with the others that it's pretty much the same. It's not that
Yeah.
different than it was before. It's not
I
material,
agree
but
too.
yeah. I'm not gonna
Okay.
ask for any changes to the structure.
All right, great. No, I'm not. Okay, so we're ready to take a vote. So, I'd like this time to close the public portion of the meeting if nobody else has shown up. Mr. Graminski,
This is Andrew speaking, Chair Fontano. I'm not seeing anyone with their hand raised.
okay, so you'll shut that down and for the record, we've closed the public portion of the meeting for this case. So if we're ready to vote? Yes, okay, I'm gonna ask, thank you, Ann Fullerton. I'm gonna ask our appointed clerk for tonight, Mr. Cook. Do you have something you want to ask us before you make a motion? Do you have any questions, Brian?
I do not.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
So would you please make your motion?
Yes, Madam Chair. In the matter of 59 Linden Avenue, ZP 24-000125, I move to approve with conditions as specified in the staff memo dated February 14, 2025. I move to approve a major amendment to a previously issued special permit to alter a non-conforming structure on the basis of the following findings. Changes proposed do not worsen existing nonconformities. The project as amended is not substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood than the existing nonconforming structure. The project as amended is compatible with existing natural features and the unbuilt surrounding area, including land uses.
So moved.
May I please have a second?
Oh, second.
Seconded by Cece Daglian. All in favor, please say aye as we go around. Cece Daglian,
Aye.
Ann Fullerton,
Aye.
Ann Brockelman,
Aye.
Zach Zaremba,
Aye.
and Susan Fontano, aye. Let the record show we have 5 of the members voting in the positive to pass and approve. Thank you. Good luck, Ms. Wang.
Thank you so much. I'm so sorry about being like so late in the process. It's really not our intention. I really appreciate the board's approval. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Good, best of luck.
My architect on this. Thank you.
Okay, on the, thanks everybody for your input. We're gonna go on now to 34 Allen Street. Mr. Brian Cook, sir.
Yes. Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to open the case of 34 Allen Street, ZP 24-000095. Chris Ulrich seeks a special permit for a conforming entry canopy on a non-conforming principal building type for the NR zoning district.
Thank you very much. Mr. Graminski, are the parties here?
This is the Andrew speaking. Yes, Tanya Carrier, the architect, is on.
Beautiful. Good evening, Tanya. How are you?
Good evening. Nice to see you.
Same here.
Should I
So
just-
you want to talk to us about the project?
Yes. Good evening, Tanya Carrier from KDI Architects. With me tonight is Dr. Chris Ulrich, the owner of the building in practice. So I'll share my screen and just show 3 quick slides. Okay, I hope I shared the correct screen there. So here's our existing building. We were actually here before the board in July of 2023, where we received the approval for the use of a veterinary hospital in the NR zone. The building was an existing structure. It's since been fit out into the veterinary hospital. And the facade was also approved at that time. What we didn't realize is that the canopy required also a separate special permit or variance, I'm not positive, but to add a building component to a non-conforming building type. So what we are proposing today is to get approval, hopefully for that canopy. We think it would dress up the entry, kind of highlight the entrance point, also provide a little bit of shelter above the door. So the canopy is kind of a simple structure with tiebacks and signage above. I'll show a more detailed view. Plan-wise, it's 14 foot 10 inches long by 2 foot 6 deep. And for the look on the facade, it would run just over the entry door. We have spandrel glass panels at that area where we were planning for it. And then the signage would be above, which is approximately 1 foot high and 10 square feet, where the max is 14 square feet allowed. So that's, it's not too much to talk about here, but that's kind of the presentation of what we are asking for today. So I can turn it back over for questions.
Okay. So the awning is just gonna go over the section of the doorway.
Correct, yeah, it would just be like a covering over the doorway.
Can I ask why, is it something that is your signage now lit? Is it illuminated?
Yeah, we were hoping to have some sort of lighting with the signage. Maybe if Chris is on, he could speak a little bit further to that.
And why do you want to put an awning on top of what you have?
It looks very plain without it. It kind of highlights a door like you'd see at any main entry point. We actually had this in the design we showed you guys 2 years ago. We just forgot to, we didn't know that we needed the actual approval for it. We thought it was a by right ad. So we didn't actually ask for that.
What's the fabric gonna be?
So it would be, we were looking at doing a cedar look to the front of it. And then there'd be metal structure, black metal to match the storefront.
Okay. Do we have anybody here from the public that would like to speak and weigh in on this project?
This is Andrew speaking. Chair Fontana, I'm not seeing anyone with their hand raised at this time. Oh,
Okay.
actually, yes, I am. I see Raphael.
Okay,
Raphael, I'm allowing you to speak.
Raphael, welcome. Could you tell us your full name and address, please?
Yes, Rafael Flores, 21 Linden Street. I'm actually in that picture in that blue house right behind it.
Oh, okay.
So this attachment is just going to be a cosmetic thing, and you guys are going to have it anchored down so that way, if there's any winds or anything like that, it's not going to, there's no chance for it kind of pushing out and back into any of these kind of lining properties, 21, 20, 19. Is that correct? That the canopy is going to be anchored down?
Tanya,
Yes, sorry, I was waiting for your approval to answer.
no, speak right up.
Yeah, so it would be structurally attached to the building with those tiebacks. So everything would be designed to meet the wind forces and all that.
Okay.
I know
there's
with these
nothing
winds,
to-
you're probably worried about that stuff.
Yeah, now that we got a bit more of a tunnel down here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But you're welcome. Thank you for coming out. Anybody else want to speak to this project, the 34 Allen Street?
This is Andrew speaking. I'm not seeing anyone else with their hand raised at this time, Chair Fontana.
Okay, we're gonna close the public portion now and move on to the board. Anybody on the board want to speak to this? Any comments? Yes, Ann Fullerton?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think that it's additive to the structure, and I think it's good to designate the front of the entrance. I also think that having a fixed metal awning that creates a little bit of weather protection is in keeping with most retail spaces. So I'm in support of this request.
Thank you. Anybody else? Everybody like this? Are we ready to vote? Okay. With the clerk, acting clerk for tonight, Mr. Cook, make a motion.
Yes, Madam Chair. In the matter of 34 Allen Street, ZP 24-000095, I move to approve with conditions as specified in the staff memo dated February 13th, 2025, a special permit for a conforming entry canopy and sign on the basis of the following findings: that the project, 1, supports the goals of Summer Vision 2040, 2, meets the intent of the NR zoning district where located, 3, makes minimal changes that do not affect surrounding properties, 4, meets the needs of the applicant, 5, is consistent with the evolution of neighborhood structures, 6, does not conflict with design guidelines applicable to the NR zoning district.
So moved.
May I have a second, please?
I'll second.
Cece Daglian seconds. All in favor, please say aye. Ann Fullerton,
Aye.
Ann Brockelman,
Aye.
Cece Daglian,
Aye.
Zach Zaremba,
Aye.
and Susan Fontano, aye. Let the record show was unanimous approval for Allen Street, 34 Allen Street. Thank you. Good
Thank you.
luck. Where are you? Where's our little, where's Tanya? Tanya, thanks for coming out tonight. and for
Great.
the
Thank you so much.
presentation. Okay.
Thank
take
you.
care. Bye-bye. Okay. I see there's nothing else tonight. Does anybody have any business they would like to offer? No? Okay. So without further ado, could we have a motion to adjourn?
Yes, Madam Chair. I move to adjourn the Somerville Zoning Board of Appeals meeting of February 19, 2025.
Thank
So
you.
moved.
So moved by Ann Brockelman. All in favor? Oh, a second, please.
Second.
Seconded by Ann Fullerton. All in favor, please say aye. Ann Brockelman,
Aye.
Cece Daglian,
Aye.
Zach Zaremba,
Aye.
Ann Fullerton,
Aye.
and Susan Fontano. Aye. Let the record show is unanimous. Thank you, Mr. Cook, for all your help tonight. Did a fabulous job. Andrew, thank you. Best wishes to you. Keep in touch.
You.
And all the rest of the staff people coming out tonight. We really appreciate you backing up. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.
Good night.
Bye-bye, Andrew.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Luck.